Hey, I'm Kylie of Kylie M Interiors, online paint color consultant, blogger, and e-design expert. Today we're taking a look at a very tricky paint color, Sherwin Williams Dover White. Now some of you might be here because you're thinking of using Dover White on your walls, your trims, your cabinets, and I'm going to teach you about it. And the rest of you are here because you have Dover White and you're probably having a heck of a time figuring out what you can paint with it. You might have it on your trim, on your cabinets. And you're probably stuck with beige walls if you've got Dover White and you want to get out of beige. I totally get it. So we're going to talk about Dover White first, because in talking about it, we're going to learn about it. And in learning about it, we can figure out why some colors work and some colors don't. You might also want to get a pad of paper out and a pen, because I've got a whole bunch of colors for us to go through so you can see what does and doesn't work. Now, Dover White is a white paint color, but it's a soft white paint color, which is a very important detail. So there's some whites that act like white when you don't have any other white around. They look like white. Dover White isn't that. No matter what you've got going on, it'll always look like a soft, warm white because it has a lower LRV. Its LRV is 83. LRV is light reflectance value, and it tells you how light or how dark a paint color is on a scale of 0, which is black, to 100, which is white. So at 83, it's certainly a white, but it's actually closer to being off-white than it is to being a true white. We have to keep that in mind. So there's colorant in there, and that colorant has a very reasonable degree of yellow. And it's that yellow that gives us a heck of a time when we're trying to match paint colors with it. I get it. So this is where I say that I did this video a few months ago, and I got some flack for it, and I'm cool. I can grow with flack because a lot of people were looking for help. And I think I focus more on what you can't do with it because it is a bit limiting. Whereas for this one, I want to focus on what we can do, letting you know what you can expect when you pair certain colors together, because I tend to go to the more OCD end of things where I'm like, oh, that's too yellow and that's too blue. Doesn't mean it can't look pretty, and it maybe is a great happy medium when you've got a trim color that's a little trickier. Make sense? So let's get started. We're going to start with Canvas Town. So I'm going to go through colors that I want you to see because they come up often and people say, can I put this with Dover White? I'm going to show you why you can't, and I'm going to show you ones that do work. So we're going through a whole bunch so you can learn along the way. Sherwin Williams Canvas Tan. This one doesn't work great. It's too muted for the degree of yellow in Dover White. Sherwin Williams Accessible Beige. I know some of you are looking at it, and I'm going to change your mind. So again, Accessible Beige, it looks almost a bit pinky taupey in compared to the yellow of Dover White. So for those thinking of using Dover White, it has a reasonable degree of yellow in it, and that yellow makes it finicky with anything with a remotely taupe pink purple undertone. It's a tough sell. However, if we take that idea, get a little bit more depth, definitely better. This is Balanced Beige. It's definitely a bit better, but there's still a bit of taupe in there that's making me a little twitchy with the yellow. So if we make one minor adjustment and bump over to a color like Stone Lion, now we're getting better. So like Stone Lion, I'm going to say probably Shiitake, that could work. Logia, that would be another one you could check out in this range. Those are colors that can work a bit better with that yellow base of Dover White. Now let's hit the grayish end because I know you're waiting for it. So Agreeable Gray is so popular and I love it, and I'm so sorry, but you can't do it. So you can see there that Agreeable Gray looks that bit pinky taupey with Dover White. It just won't work even though you might want it to. But again, if we can shift, let's go to a new gray. A new gray sits right beneath it. A little bit more depth. To be honest with you, it still makes me twitchy. It's like a taupey with the yellow, but it's definitely more doable than the lighter Agreeable Gray. One more notch. We go down the strip to Mega Grayish, and that's that little bit better. This is a little bit stronger than the Dover White, so it's taking over a bit more, but we can do better. We can do better. So those ones tend to favor, they tend to have a bit of a taupey look in comparison to something like this. But you know what yellow loves? It loves green. If we can give it a neutral with a little green undertone, we have a way better chance. I'm going to show you two because they're comparable And you'll see the shift as we go from one to the other, because then you'll really see why one works and one doesn't. So versatile gray, right? It's a little fugly, doesn't really work. Too much pink taupe for the yellow. But if we just change that undertone to green, it's like, oh my God, everything feels so much better, right? So if you want to get into these grayish, if you can pick up a bit of a green undertone, you have a better chance. Again, that's amazing gray. And if we put that back, we can, you know, like, not too hot. There's a lighter version of amazing gray called worldly gray. I think it's going to be too light. I think we need a bit more green in amazing gray. Colors like analytical gray could work, maybe jogging path. So those warm grayish colors with that nice earthy green undertone are going to respond a bit better to the yellow in Dover White. Moving along. We don't need to look at that one. We've seen ugly. Repose gray, another popular one. Again, I want to show you colors that you're probably considering so you can see for yourself why they do and don't work. Repose gray, you know, there was a time when I might have said no, but when it comes to something that's tricky like Dover White with the yellow in it, there's a difference between the perfect world and the next best thing. And you can't necessarily afford to paint all the trim in cabinets. Sometimes you got to work with what you got. So you go, okay, the perfect world, I'd have a cleaner white on my trim, but I don't. So what's the next best thing without looking bad? I would say Repose Gray is passable, but if we add a bit more depth, I think we can go, okay, you know what? We're getting there. Mindful Gray. So this is a warm gray. So this is just a step more gray than grayish. You can see it's got a flexible purple-green undertone. Now, if it had a legitimate purple undertone, it might have still been okay. It's more the pink ones we have to watch out for, but Mindful Gray is working. The one underneath that is Dorian Gray. Maybe check that out. Oh, this one is like Essential Grays. Oh, it just makes me want to die inside. Okay, so purple. That's too much purple. Totally hits that yellow pretty hard. It's a no-go. But I have the perfect fix to that. I love this stuff. Functional Gray. So much better, right? A little bit warmer, a little bit softer. Much better. You can get away with Functional Gray. I believe the one above it, oh gosh, might be Essential Gray. Ugh. Anyways, I would be hesitant to go lighter than this in this type of color, but some options, right? You just need options. Now this one surprises me. I would have thought that it would have been a bit cool, but I looked at it and went, holy heck, it's not bad. So what's going to happen when you have a trim that has yellow undertone like this? When you put an opposite with it, like purple, blue, or green, the yellow is going to get that little bit stronger, and that's what's happening here. So it's about accepting that your trim and your cabinets are going to look that bit stronger. The only way to make them look more subtle is to paint them so they're not Dover White anymore because they're there. They're not going away. If you use warm colors, sure, they might look a little bit more muted. This is where a case where opposites attract, make each other stronger. That doesn't need to be a bad thing as long as you're aware of it. It's when it surprises you and you go, what the heck? My trim has yellow in it? Yeah, legit. I like light French gray. This is another one I went, huh, you know. Lazy Gray. It's colorful. I had wrapped my head around it, but I went, you know what, if I had an office, I wouldn't do this in a main living area. I think it's way too dynamic, energetic of a combo. I think the yellow and the blue-purple are just bouncing too hard off each other. This is Lazy Gray. It is a gray with colorful undertones, but in an office, could be kind of cool. Now these are some fun ones. Livable Green. Oh, it's so pretty. So that's definitely what Dover White likes. It's the green, it's got a bit more color. So those neutrals, the neutral bases were just fighting with the cleaner look of the yellow and Dover White. Those are dirty colors. This is a bit of a cleaner color. Livable Green and Dover White have a similar amount of dirt in them. So they really like each other. They're beautiful, but not everyone wants green walls. I get it. Silver Strand, right? I'm like, okay, we can do this. We can totally do this. So again, it's acknowledging that the trim is going to look that little bit more yellow and the walls are going to look that little bit more colorful just in comparison to each other. But as long as you know that and decorate your room accordingly, things can look good. So that means don't put cleaner whites in your room. No white appliances, no white accents. All your accents need to have a similar warmth and softness to them for everything to make sense. Rain washed. Again, super dynamic. I would not put it in a main room. I think it's too energetic, but I would definitely consider it for a bedroom, not a bathroom. Bedrooms, offices, that kind of thing. Oh, I like this one. They're all like my babies. I love them all. Ancient marble. Oh, I love that. Super pretty. Even if you don't like green, I hope you can see how it works. It's got that little bit more color. Yellow loves green. They're pretty happy together. I have another one in there. Sea salt. Always a little bit of a bugger, but pretty, right? Sea salt. I have reviews on probably most of these, so if some catch your eye, check them out. That's on my blog and on my YouTube, so you can learn a lot more about them. So that's sea salt. So again, it will activate the yellow in Dover White, but as long as you know it, knowing it is half the battle. I think that was like G.I. Joe or something. So Big Chill. Big Chill is one of my favorite gray paint colors because it has the most muted undertones. It is okay. I find it's a little bit too light. Dover White's not digging the lighter grays and grays. If you want to go gray and grayish, I think you need to hit an LRV of, I'm just going to say for sake of ease, 55 or lower. So more in the light medium range. If you go in the light range and you want to get grayish or gray, I think it's going to be a tough sell. So again, sometimes it's about finding that happy medium between you and your home. You might want a lighter gray. Dover White does not. So you pick a gray with a little bit more meat on its bones. Tinsmith. Really nice. I like that. That guy's got an LRV. Oh, I bet you he's around 55 or something. I'm going to say. That's a ballpark. Don't quote me on it. But looks pretty, right? Again, don't surround Dover White with white in the room. No white slip covers. No white frames. Let it be the brightest color in the room. Otherwise, the yellow will pop even more. So there you have it. I really hope that helped you in your journey. I will be doing other videos. I'm going to play around with Dover White some more, get it painted on some trim, as well as antique white, another one that's tricky. But for now, that should get you well on your way. Please visit me on my blog. I also have a super cool Instagram feed, and thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel.